In the entry-level competition, there were only 4 in the contest. And shooting autumn, 9 points. I like the image, but I do not like seeing pictures of people from behind while they're taking pictures. That's become quite a cliche. I think the picture would have been nicer either without a person in it altogether or somebody much further down the road. Would have added a little more intrigue to the composition. Canyon snow, 11 points. It was just a very nice scenic photo, nice composition. There's nothing that really elevated it to the same as the prior two. Elephants in Kruger National Park, 13 points. The elephants is a beautiful print as well. I thought it could have been a little looser with a little bit more of the road actually tailing off into the background. And the print quality was a little blocked up in the shadow area. Shades of Dusk, 14 points. I liked Shades of Dusk just because of its creativity and the value of seeing the potential for a nice image. The photographer made a good effort at getting the right angle to get the reflection in the water on the asphalt right down the middle, which gave it a nice composition. In the intermediate category, there were 10 entries. And another 8 points went to Rush Hour Ready at Dublin Bike Station. Given the proliferation of the bikes now in Dallas, this doesn't look terribly unusual like it might have a few years ago. I do like the angle that it was shot from with the diagonal going through it, but it seems like it was cropped too tightly on the left side. The print quality is not bad. Strolled into Sunset. I gave an 8 to. While it's a pretty visual, the composition's very nice. The reflection in the water's nice, but since this is a print competition, I question the quality of the print. It looks as if something was not right when this print was made, probably the script being wrong for the type of paper. When you look at it closely, it's almost got scratchy lines through it. The contrast and saturation have been boosted. So it looks nice from a distance, but until you get close, it falls off. In the intermediate category with 9 points, Rusting Away at Bluebonnet Junction is a nice frame from inside an old beat-up car. It just seems a little squeezed, and the print quality, I don't know what to make of this, that it's so posterized almost, and it just doesn't look natural at all. It looks like something that was completely done with software after the picture was made. Also with 10 points is Red Sun Rising, a beautiful sunrise and reflection in a pond, and the exposure just seems a little off where there could be a little more snap to it where the motel is. The print quality is not bad. Jefferson, Texas gets 10 points. It's very similar to the Esso Station photo where it's a scenic from this one being in an old downtown area. The picture's fine, but it really lacks life because I would like to see somebody in the picture walking on the sidewalk, walking out of the frame. The angle seems to me like it would have been better shot from straight across the street, although I'm not sure what the background would have been at that point. So I do like the way the lines tail off to the right. The light looks a little flat that day, but it doesn't hurt it too much. With 11 points, False Advertising. Picture of a old gas station with the pumps still there, but in bad shape, and the sign that says full serve and the S missing. That's must be what the false advertising title comes from. Again, this picture is just too tightly framed. It needs a little air around it. More trees above the sign, more to the right of the old gas pump. The print quality is not bad. Is On the Road in Nashville, is 12 points. It's a very nice picture from an evening scene in Nashville, Tennessee, I guess. And the saxophone player just doesn't seem to be positioned quite right. If the photographer had moved to the left, it would have been much better, because as it is, the light pole is growing right out of him. Had you been to the left just a couple steps, then his separation would have been against the building instead of the light pole, and would have added to the quality of this picture. The print is fine. It's very warm tones because of the time and the light source. 14 points went to Road to Big D, which is a scene that I saw last night coming back from Fort Worth, shot on I-30 with the downtown skyline in the background, a time exposure from the bridge. I forget the name of the street, but the high angle on this is the only way to make this picture work, not only because of the streaking car lights, which is kind of a cliche way of doing traffic, but the sound wall barrier there, I noticed last night because I had seen this picture, so I was watching when we were coming back in from Fort Worth. At road level, you don't get the reflection of the car lights, but up on the bridge, obviously the red on that fence is what makes this picture really work. It's nicely done, nice quality in the print, and nice time of day to make that picture when it's more at the blue hour, so you still have some color in the sky. Makes all the difference in the world than trying to do it at night when the sky goes black. Yaquina Bay Bridge and Fog. I gave 14 points, which is just a gorgeous picture and gorgeous print quality, with the detail of the bridge where the fog is not as heavy in the foreground and tailing off into the background where the top of the bridge is hardly visible. The birds in the picture add a whole lot to it. One flying and one that's on the bridge with its wings spread. I am hoping that in this day and age when it's so easy to add elements and make a composite image, I hope those birds were really there and not added in post. It's a beautiful picture the way it is. Moving to the advanced category, it only had 5 entries. With 9 points, Heartstopper is a very tight photo of a traffic signal, and the red light is lit and it has a heart shape, which is, I'm sure, what interested the photographer in shooting this. The picture's fine, but in the time of day it was made is the wrong time. The sky is washed out. There's a lack of contrast in the image. Could have had a better black in the print. And also, I think to make this picture more interesting would have been done at dusk on a tripod. A time exposure where you get all 3 of the lights lit up. It would have made it a more interesting picture and added some intrigue to it. Freeway window, I gave 10 points to. One of our many highway interchanges in this area, and the window, I'm assuming, is meaning the triangular area in the middle that has a little bit of a traffic signal up there that you can barely see. If the photographer had moved a little bit to the left and down, would have had more interest. And what really would have helped this photo a lot was on the bridge that tails away in the background if there had been a truck up there. Next is Blue Mesa with 11 points. I'm not sure where this is, but wherever it is, it's a very nice scenic with the S-shaped road going off and a couple strolling on the road, which makes this picture so much better than if it had had nobody in it. It adds some really visual interest to that. The crop is a little too tight on the top, making the composition a little awkward. With 12 points, I have train 7783 across downtown Dallas. As a black and white picture with the large Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge in the left part of the image. The power pole is the main central part of the composition, and a train that stopped on the right on the track. The print quality is excellent on this, but the composition seems a little off to me, that it should have backed off and had more of the bridge, the large margin in it, because that's the most interesting part of the downtown skyline now, is that bridge. In this category, I gave 12 points to In the Blue Town. It's the smallest print in the competition, but the print quality is excellent. It's just a beautiful picture. It's hard to put it into words exactly why, other than, like they said, in Blue Town, everything, all the paint except a little bit of area with red brick in the background is painted blue. And getting a pedestrian strolling through there who's not paying any attention to the camera helps a lot. And she's positioned just right, where her head separates in the blue area instead of in the black door in the background. It's a nicely done picture from somewhere traveling. In the Masters category, it was full of really, really nice work, as I would expect from the Masters. And I actually wound up with 4 that had the same total points of 15, because I can't see any way of making them better at all. They're all just super nice images, the content as well as the print quality. Big Bend National Park is the one that I didn't really care for. It seemed to be shot, it was a low-res file or something, because it just starts falling apart really quickly, and it's a small print. It's done from a nice angle. It looks similar to one of the other pictures earlier with the mountains in the background, the road going downhill, but it's just a washed out sky, and I believe that wraps it up. TP Motel, this is the one that I just can't quite figure out why the color is off, but it's certainly off. It's a color of the sky and the grass just seem to be off. There's not a good white in it. The whole thing has gone too cyan for a nice print. On the Way to Grandma's House, it's a black and white image of a horse carriage. The only thing I fault in that is, again, it just needs some more air around it. It's too tightly cropped on the left, right into the wheel on the wagon. On the Road, Great Sand Dunes National Park is another very nice image, either near sunset or early in the morning at sunrise. The only thing that pulled that down a little bit is the speed limit sign is right in the center of the image, and then the RV coming in from the left is just too tight. It needs a little more air around it, a little more of the road. Otherwise, it's a very nice picture. And then we have the one that I got a little chuckle out of, is horse apples in the middle of what I assume is a street. I can't tell where this would be, but the title of it is On the Road. And it's just kind of flat. The light's real flat. The detail is very good. The angle on it's very good. Actually could have been even a little lower angle. The depth of field using a wide aperture helps this, where all the background drops out of focus and then your eye is just drawn to the super detail on that one horse apple. Off to the Picnic, which is a very nice detail shot of what I assume is a picnic basket on an old Buick automobile. The print is very, very nice. The incredible sharpness in it, when you look at it really closely, you can just see every little fine detail. It's very nicely done. Roadside Stand, Yemen, is another very nice image of what it says, a roadside stand. Looks like a fruit and vegetable market, and it's a nice print. There's nothing in the sky that day that would have helped it, so it's just kind of a washed out light blue sky. The shadow detail is pretty incredible. It looks like it was a pretty contrasty scene, but they've done a very nice job of pulling out the detail in the shadows. On the Road, Arches National Park. It's a gorgeous shot with all the stars out. And the reason why I like the Road Less Traveled better than this one, which is also just beautiful and a perfect print, is that that's a pretty regular shot that's made. I've seen the pictures of Arches, In fact, I was judging yesterday the Dallas Photographer Club, and there must have been 6 or 7 pictures from Arches National Park in their competition. That's not to say this isn't a beautiful print and a beautiful image, because it certainly is. Approaching the destination is just a beautiful shot. What print is in black and white. There's texture in the sky and in the mountains. There's a good black in it in the trees that are in the mid-ground. The road is shot from a nice angle over to the side instead of right out in the middle like you usually see. And then if you start looking deep into the print, you can see how the road curves off, and there are some buildings down in the valley. Very nicely done. "107 degrees on Old Ore Road." I actually Googled that to see where Old Ore Road was, and it's in Big Bend. And again, it's a nice, very nice image of a road less traveled. And this one, the photographer is right in the center of the road that's a little higher in the middle than the tire tracks. And it leads off, and you can see it tailing off, and then the mountains in the background. It had a very nice sky that day. It's just a shame there weren't another puffy white cloud over to the right of it to close off the composition even better. But it's beautifully done as it is. But again, I just like this road less traveled, for it reminds me of a Elliot Porter type picture. It's just gorgeous. For best in show, from all the ones that finished at the top, I select Road Less Traveled. It's just such a gorgeous landscape, and the title is apt. Usually that's kind of a cliche, but this is definitely a road less traveled, covered with leaves the way it is, and the branch with the moss coming over the top that frames it very well. It's just a gorgeous picture, and somewhat different than the more usual photos of roads going off to the mountains in the background.